Okay, Mr. Stoddard, I believe, is here. I haven't seen him, but as I said before, a couple hours ago, he was going to be here. I think we'll just, well, we can't go forward very well, I guess. Let me run down and see.
You wanna do the resolutions or something?
Well, you're going, Rick, thanks.
Yep.
We really need to hear from him before we do the first thing which we have to do, which is bring 347 off the table.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, first, I'll ask, there was a second sheet, speaker topic, nobody signed it, but it was hidden behind. Anyone that wanted to say anything this evening?
Hi.
Good evening. Like the spy who came in from the cold.
Oh, it's not too cold yet.
No, no,
Yeah.
this time of year,
Painting my house today.
Bernie, will you put my name on the signer? Is that what you thought?
everything against the wall.
Oh,
I remember being in Lake
When
Placid.
did that ever make a difference?
Okay.
Not with
Come on,
you,
come
but
on.
you know, in general.
Lake Placid in 2000, not Lake Placid, Cupper Lake 2004.
Okay.
Right toward the end, and it was cold, and it was windy, and it had those frozen pellets going
Oh, yum.
horizontal. You know,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You look like a creature going door to door, you know.
My goodness.
Oh, you're working late.
It's not always fun.
Kind of was, oh, yeah, I guess it is.
Okay,
Terrible bunch you guys.
we have no public comments, so we'll go right down to water rate adjustment. I want to preface with just a couple quick comments. The first one is, and I'll pass it around, I've sat on the annual water system inspection report that we get from Clinton County. And, you know, it's hard sometimes to copy a multi-page document if you don't have to. You think about the waste of paper and ink and, you know, how do you summarize something? And I decided I'm just going to float it around. The town has done very well as far as I can remember. And we all know when you have a inspection, there's a strong degree of responsibility to try to find something, because everything can't always be right. And if you've got a good rapport with the inspectors, you're kind of anxious to see what it is you need to focus on and work on. If you just thumb through this report, and you just look at the back pages, you know, ones are no violation observed, and fours are just as applicable. It's a generic document. And as you go through this thing, it's absolutely commendable. I mean, this is the report you put on the refrigerator. It just is great. And
Is that good? Huh?
the narrative, and I'll just start over here to my right, and we'll work it around a little bit. If you want a copy, we'll certainly make one, and if you want to keep it longer. The narrative is very good. John Canosa talks about working with the department's high level of professionalism, accountability, meeting the standards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think like a lot of people 10 years ago, and we've said it many times, somewhat jokingly, you know, you turn the faucet and it comes out, and you push that lever down and it goes away, and we sort of forget about how it comes and goes. Certainly have learned it's a lot more complex, and the accountability, especially in this environment we live in. And tonight was the night, I guess, with Scott being here. The guys really do an excellent job, and when this is done going around, I think I need to, you know, do just some sort of memo to you to share to everyone.
Yeah.
It is an absolutely couldn't be better report. Nothing that I found anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
you
quite
know,
good.
I think the inspection went well, and I'll give credit to, you know, the guys in the field and the department that prepared and, you know, keep us really in inspection-ready status all the time, and, you know, worked with John that day. And, John was very complimentary of the support he received that day, and
Yeah.
went well, and
He's been a good partner to work with us in a variety of issues. I can only think of one time when I thought maybe the Department of Health went a little farther than they had to with an order, but it's good to have. It really shouldn't be adversarial. It should be something that's collaborative to the benefit. But I guess my final comment is he must feel pretty good about the trust with you and with the guys in the field, that they aren't trying to take shortcuts, they aren't trying to cover anything up, that, there's a rapport there, and that's huge, so that speaks well to all of you. And as I said, if anybody wants it, but I will do just on behalf of all of us, congratulations to the department and everybody involved. My number 2 item, with the resolution we tabled, and, I think back to last Monday, I just, you look at these things and look at these things, and it's easy to miss something. And there are times when Ricky's reading these and I'm marking up my own copies, I saw something, heard something I missed before. But when it talks about any and all outside users, I shared with Scott afterward, and after he and I talked a little, I know my mindset at that time was outside users such as the users that come to the town to supply their water, O&M costs, etc. The outside users from other municipalities. And I think that's where our heads were. I know that's where the discussion was. That is not the case in this resolution. These are the users who are outside of a district. Remember, for water districts in the town, we don't have a town-wide water district, like we have a lighting, or we have the ambulance and so on. And unlike fire departments, everybody's in some district. It's possible to be in the town and not be in a water district. And that's something Scott and I have talked a little about, should we adjust that or what? So keep that in mind and I'm going to turn it right over to you, Scott, to kind of explain this, and we'll see where we are. This resolution has to come off the table. I think as I was thinking the other day, the first thing we're looking at really is an adjustment. We haven't had one in a couple of years on the rate of water. We had a meeting here with a company, Tom was here, that is proposing to help manage the maintenance and upkeep of our water tanks. They can even do more than that for us. And I think you'll hear more about them. I was very impressed. It's something that can be predictable, it's easier to plan, etc. But when he saw our water rates, and he was sitting right over there, he literally pushed his chair back from the table and said, "Whoa!" Because they were pretty inexpensive. The outside users in this document is 5 or 6 unique people. A couple are not in the town of Plattsburgh, and some of them are. Scott, maybe you can just explain that piece, and then we'll see where it goes.
Sure. Yeah, from what I understood after talking to Bernie when it came last week was that the term outside user kind of came up, and whether it was those people outside of the town that are supply agreements that we have with Beatontown and Scott Falls and Woods Mills, or is it these few individuals in the town that also are outside the water districts, and that is really the case of these, that the resolution speaks to those individuals that are outside the water district, but for the most part within the town. What they do is they pay the same rate as town consumers, and are assessed a value, or really given a rate, a service rate based on their assessed value, which is really the current tax rate times their assessed value. So really they're paying the same tax levy that they would if they were in the district, just as they fall outside where the line was drawn at the time. And not being around for most of these when they came up, it was kind of more, I think, a difference of, well, just add that one person rather than go through the effort to expand the whole district, and really was there anything to develop there, go after. So those were probably the case. So it is very few individuals that are really impacted. It is literally 6 outside water users that we have. 2 of them on the Carbide Road that are in the town of Morrisonville, that wouldn't be there, but the others all reside in the town. So, and that's really the way they've always been applied. We have some that date back to, I think, the 1990s that were put into place, and some that were implemented in the 2000s. But like I said, it's just a handful of individuals, and really that's what the intent of the resolution was, to increase both those ratepayers. The deal with the outside user, really those guys fall under an agreement or contract that we have with the municipality that we supply the water to. And they're not under various structures based on really when they went into place and how they may have evolved and how much time was involved with them. So they are not really uniformly applied because they've evolved over time. So to say that, one instance applies to all those outside supply agreements, which we have in Beacontown, Scholar Falls, and Woods Mills, they are kind of each independent. Some are written to be just rate plus a 10%, which we have in place now. Some are just rate, some are just a cost to pump. They kind of go back, they were originally established.
What's the uniqueness of the most recent ones? That would be Macy Lane and Scholar Falls?
Yeah, Macy Lane really was just brought on last Monday, and that O&M agreement is now in effect and taking place, and that one was established to be rate plus 10%. So right now that district went on at $1.56, so which is where they should come in. And
When you talk about this, you use the term outside users for both the people that were on these plans.
I would say the outside supply agreement is really how I would refer to
Outside
those.
supply agreement. I just want to make sure that the wording here is distinctive
Yeah.
between which one we're talking
I
about.
mean, they're both users outside
I
of
understand
the water
that.
district, so that's why the broader sense is that they're outside users. We really have two types of outside users. Those that are under a kind of a master supply agreement where we provide millions of gallons to, through master metering, and have legal documentation between us to determine how those contracts are, laid out and implemented, and how they are also changed and terminated and all that stuff is laid out in those. Which we have discussed those at some points in the past, and I know that, Jim's looked at them and we've talked about trying to get them all to align at some point in the future. There's different notification requirements in there that have to occur to allow to bring others up, and does that timing work within, kind of how we develop our budget now and develop our rates, and, and that we're not which is kind of, really most of the outside, those that are rate plus 10%, they'll go up next year in the 2015 year because they're slightly out of sync with basically the way those contracts are written and the notifications have to take place for rate increases.
Tom, you gave me an idea. If we look at the fourth whereas, and I know we gotta bring this to the table first, but if we looked at the fourth whereas, where it says the proposed rate adjustment shall be fully effective January 1, 2015, be retroactive to the date of the previous billing period, comma, including any and all outside users, what if we inserted after the word users, excluding those who fall under an intermunicipal agreement to be set as follows? So that helps to clarify that this group is
That's all you need
not
is something,
that
just clarify it, so somebody can't read something in.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and I did the same last Monday when I first saw it. So what I would propose when we get there then, that might help, is right after we say any and all outside users, excluding those who fall under an intermunicipal agreement. That might really help out. And you said there are 6 individuals that would be affected by this?
Yeah, there's
And-
6 on water, yep.
Okay.
But it's a possibility, as you said, that there might be someone else that applied at some point.
Yeah, I mean, someone could show up tomorrow and say, hey, I'm building a house and it's just right here on the edge, and, I noticed that my neighbor's got some town water there, and I'd like to do the same, and, get that conversation going, which would then be a petition to the board, and, that process would kick off, but.
The cost of redistricting would be probably quite expensive. And this is how we handle those very, very few calls.
Yeah, I mean, for the amount of, what we gain for, especially just one-offs really that we kind of are dealing with now, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go through that larger effort.
And that outside user pays for all of the cost to connect
Yep.
to
Yeah, and
the water
actually,
system. If it's on the other side of the road, they would have to deal with
yep,
the
they pay
push or
the
a cut.
tap, yep. And and really when we do work with the outside user, they do sign an agreement with the town, which is commitment of that, hey, I gotta pay for my tap, I gotta pay for my meter. Here's what's gonna be my rate right now based on the current tax levy, and I'm gonna pay the current consumption rate, whatever that is at the time. So it is kind of signed amongst both parties and in place, it's just.
Yeah, I think that's less of a problem than the outside suppliers, I mean, intermunicipal
Yeah,
suppliers.
I mean,
where
and
we
these
really
are
need to look at
residential
the contracts
consumptions where,
and-
Right.
50,000
And give
a
them
year.
notice, I hope we give them notice that we're going to negotiate, renegotiate or whatever.
While Scott's here, how about if we bring this to the table and then we can have some further discussion? So, resolution 347, water rate adjustment effective January 1, 2015.
Whereas the Greater Town of Plattsburgh Consolidated Water District and Park District are duly established water districts and have appropriated expenditures for operation and maintenance of its water system. Whereas there is a need to provide sufficient revenue to offset operation and maintenance expenditures. Whereas the town board recognizes that the responsibility of maintaining safe and reliable water system requires increase in rates that both sustain its system as well as prepay any future capital improvements. Whereas the proposed rate adjustment shall be fully effective January 1, 2015, and be retroactive to the date of the previous billing period, including any outside users. What did you want to add?
We won't do that yet, just bring it in as it is.
As to be said as follows. Meter rate should be $1.51 per 1,000 gallons with a minimum per month of $6.67 or $20 per quarter, based on a customer's billing frequency. Therefore, be resolved that these new rates shall be in place and effective on the first quarterly billing cycle, retroactive as noted. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager and the wastewater department.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Cashman, second.
This is to bring it off the table.
Second.
Mr. Mannix. Now, any discussion?
Okay, so you're gonna put the warrant, you're gonna,
If that's what everyone would like, to me, it makes it a lot clearer, is at that point, in the fourth whereas, including any and all outside users, excluding those who fall under an intermunicipal agreement.
I'd like that.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable with that language. What I had originally hoped was some stronger references to each of the agreements, but at least that connects it back to that there are agreements, and those documents can be pulled up for comparison.
Would you need other changes in it?
I don't see a need for any. Again, this just helps clarify who it isn't. Marty, you seconded the motion. Is that okay with you to add that?
It's fine with me, it does exactly what we're looking for.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manning,
Yes.
Mr. Cashman.
Yes.
George Grimwood.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Thank you very much. Anyone have anything else for Scott or the capital audience?
I know that there's another draft one in there that
Pretty
just
sure.
moving the money around. which I don't know if
Yeah,
that's-
there's one for,
Yeah,
you wanna, move?
While he's here, we
$6,000?
can do that, of course.
Yeah, that's really what approved the change order last round. I don't know if it was I think it was last meeting, I think.
Yes.
The meeting before.
Talking about
Just do the additional work for the sewer base lining.
Yeah.
This is really now just the transaction to move that money, which was approved under the change order.
Yeah, and that
So
was
this
in the
is really-
budget, it was in the budget, just in a different line.
Yep,
So we moved it over.
yep,
And
Pat's
that-
just keeps
and
up
that enables us to get all that work
Yes.
done for less cost.
Yep, I'm doing it now. and-
I love it, getting two phases done at one time.
Yeah, no, it's all positive stuff.
Well, and again, I'm glad you were on top of that and
Yeah.
recognized it,
Advantage of
proposed
the
it,
rest of them.
made it work. RJ worked with you too, so it's all good.
It's good to get something done.
So everybody understands that one? Let's let
And I
Scott go
assume
home.
that, we're gonna be.
No, we're not passing
No,
that.
I just if you guys had any questions or, since I'm here.
And just having a chance to look at that report that Bernie shared very anecdotally, seriously, thumbs up.
Yeah.
Is that, and that's something that we're gonna
Yeah, I mean,
continue
and that-
researching and get our information for it, so we can go ahead and decide.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that's in, the inspection also kind of highlights where we're trying to move the department and, trying to get our tank maintenance program under control and, we've done some stuff with the wellhead management program and cross connection, we really kind of beefed up those areas, so, kind of acknowledges some of the places we're trying to go and move the program.
If Bernie was saying that should go in the refrigerator, it needs a big magnet.
Well, that's the funny thing, because we are consolidated, when we deal from a budget standpoint and everything like that, but the Department of Health still deals with them all as individual, water services or water districts, so it's an interesting process to go back through.
I found it interesting too, that he did pick up on some of the maintenance issues of the
Yep.
tanks.
Yep.
And I think at one point, if I remember correctly, he referenced that we were having conversations
Yes,
with a
yes.
maintenance company.
Yeah, they were very excited to hear that we're kind of moving down this path. And I mean, the tanks are a big public health, concern and the maintenance of them. And for a municipality this side, actually, 10 water storage tanks are a lot to have within your system. So they're a large asset, and it's something that, it's one of those deals where, it's cheaper to maintain them and keep them up to speed than it is to kind of refurb them and rehab them and doing the sandblasting and the tarping and the whole 9 yards, which comes if you start to let them go.
Well, the results of their inspections were quite similar to what you had talked about,
Yeah.
what we had seen when we went around inspecting them.
Yeah, so, I think we're all in agreement kind of in our prioritization, and it's kind of, so then how do we kind of tackle some of this, this big, maintain all these tanks and keep them up, and kind of the lack that's been in place.
What's the next step in all of that? I know she sent back the slide presentation with some updates.
I mean, I think what I plan to do is I've now been given the presentation that they gave us and all their documentation that they presented, and I'm gonna kind of crunch a lot of that, kind of compile it into some spreadsheets, and, really the thing is how do we, really looking at the cost of this whole thing, and how do we deal with the cost, and, what implications those have to the budget. So I kind of envision pulling that data together, probably sitting down with, individuals first within the committee and yourself and Pat to kind of work through that stuff, and then eventually come forward with, a more formal presentation to say, hey, this is how I think we should kind of manage these assets, and here's my solution, I think.
Thank you.
All right.
Good, thanks,
Yeah.
Scott. Have a good night. So that takes us right into draft resolutions. We have the minutes, as always. Please take a look. If you see anything, let us know. We have a draft appointment of Elizabeth Duhane to the Finance Committee. I was very
You actually have
pleased.
a number on that.
Well,
Voted on tonight?
yes, thank you. I grabbed my old worksheet instead of the one that was revised with that on it. Yes, we do need to, and that's where we should go next, is with that appointment. Resolution 353, you have one, Rick? Well, it wasn't personal.
I gave mine.
All right, it was. Resolution 353, appointment of Elizabeth Duhane to the Finance Committee.
Whereas the town board passed resolution 14-182, authorizing the formation of a finance committee to improve accountability and controls over finances and accounts, and to play an adversary role to the supervisor, town board, and finance manager. Whereas Ms. Elizabeth Duhane, a resident of the town, who possesses skill and experience with finance and business ownership, is willing to serve as a member of the finance committee. Now therefore be resolved, the town board, town of Plattsburgh, does hereby appoint Ms. Duhane to the finance committee for a term to expire December 31st, 2016, effectively immediately. And it be further resolved that Ms. Duhane take the oath of office within 30 days of this resolution, and the supervisor send a letter of appointment and appreciation to Ms. Duhane. And be further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be given to Ms. Duhane and to the finance manager.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Cashman, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette, any discussion?
Yes. Does the resolution mention the length of her term?
12/31/16.
That's when it expires, it doesn't say when.
Yeah.
And
The expiration.
they're staggered on there.
I handed my copy over to Ricky, so.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't bring any extras in either. Yes, and again, I think she rounds that out nicely as a business owner in the community. seems to be quite excited to participate. They have their first meeting this week, so that's why we're kind of hurrying up on this. It took me a while to actually just simply have that conversation with her, and we caught up with each other. Anyone have anything else? If not, roll call, please.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Mannix,
Yes.
Michael Cass.
Yes.
George Remington.
Yes.
Bernie Beth.
Yes, resolution carries. I will let her know tomorrow. Thank you for doing that one. We already did the sewer fund. The next draft that I have is one we have discussed about the conveyance of real property. Because this is in the same general area, very close to other property that we have being considered for sale, being postured to be put back on the tax rolls. I've recommended we continue with the same realtor at least to get this started. I don't know if anybody has any questions on that. We don't need to read it, just, as I said, it's followed through to what we have prior discussed.
And the map that you gave us, we're talking about the parcel here, and this,
Correct.
all this, and this is the landlocked one over here.
Right on the shore, but farther south.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it goes, this parcel connects with that one that's farther south?
There is a parcel in between, there might even be two in between. There are two in between, I believe.
So we'd be selling all of this that was originally, or what had been for the last 20 years considered as something we'd like to have as Bab Island Vista Park?
That's the current discussion, yes. Okay, any other thoughts on that? And with that said, we would be done.
Do we have an executive session?
No.
Yeah. Boy, that's an amazing thing. Okay.
It's a miracle.
7:28.
I overheard you're heading to Burlington tonight?
I am. I have to be at the airport at midnight.
Do you need someone to sign anything for you this evening, or?
Okay.